Hello, this is Mackenzie Young again. I'm coming to talk to my soapbox. I'm coming to discuss the Israelite government and basically the Africans, the Ethiopian Africans that have been going into their country or so-called invading their country. Basically, the Israel people are saying they don't want these Africans in their country because they're in their country because they're invading their country. But as you can kind of see on the tapes, they're just really racist. They call them niggers, they call them coons and all that stuff like that. If they really thought, first of all, they have no logic because they're emotional. When you speak logic, you speak logic. They're not having no logic. They sound like Hitler. They basically say, if we want to make this country free, then we don't want none of these niggers in there. But so which basically makes you think by their logic, if they think people are invading their country, right. So basically, but where's their government? Why isn't their government handling the problem? But not only that, if this is the case, not only that, they're kind of saying they don't want other people coming into their country. Because if they don't want Ethiopians coming into the country, then they wouldn't want Americans coming to their country. They wouldn't want nobody coming to their country, which means that they're a bit communist, and they're kind of bigots technically. Because by their logic, that's what they're actually saying. They're saying we don't want nobody in our country. We want this to be a strictly Israelite state, technically. But whether you're white, black, Hispanic, whatever, we want this to be a strictly Israelite state. Which means they're kind of saying they're communists. They're kind of saying they're bigots and fascists, a little fascists too, technically. Actually, what they're doing they're dictating, which means they're making themselves sound like sound like it's the right thing. What they do is the right thing, but actually their word. But you listen to their words. You listen to what they're saying. They speak as if Israel is as they speak as if Israelite is more than Israel. You know what I'm saying? Which means the fact that they think God gave them the land. Which means the fact that God gave you the land. Which means technically it's not your land. If God gave you this is the land I give to you. Which means technically anybody can come and anybody wants the land. That mean God is communist, fascist, and anybody can go to the land. It's not true for Israelites. Which means the screwing God logic. They're dumb and they're kind of jack offs. Technically, in a sense, because technically, they will these Jews, they'll be the one where God said in the Bible, I'll make you as numerous as the sands, and they'll be like, we'll make you as numerous as the sands, because like I said, because they don't understand poetry, they don't understand God's so poetic. So that's just all I want to discuss on right now. This is Israelite conflict and African American conflict. Actually, they're just racist. They're just racist. They're just racist. They're trying to make it. They're trying to say. They're trying to call us niggers, which means they're saying, but the nigger was the mean they're saying we're acting like they're saying like we're acting like we're from the hood or something like that, and even that's kind of wrong. But the hood is a slum to them in a sense. It's not a place you can live, but that everywhere, even Israel would be considered a slum or a slum because there's killing, contraband, selling of drugs everywhere. So that's kind of all I wanted to. That's kind of what I wanted to say. But they're so. That was my soapbox for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Watch out my other YouTube channels. I hope you enjoy this. Thank you. Hello, this is Benjamin again. And I've come to add some more information to my soapbox. One of the information I've come to add right now is um, about voting. A lot of people, I watch MSNBC, they watch Fox News, and Fox News is saying people are going to. Fox News has their own biased opinions. I really don't watch them, but MSNBC they have their opinions or these reasons as to why people are not voting, which means they don't really think people are voting type of things. But like I mean, if you kind of tally this up, there kind of are people voting, which means suddenly people are voting suddenly. So I can break it down. First we should think class, not class. I think I discussed that already, which means suddenly we shouldn't think class like since he drives a Bentley, he's showing his cash. We shouldn't think that's class. That's actually just bragging. What are you talking about? It's etiquette, technically in a sense, which means technically, if you talk about etiquette, you have class, which basically means then everybody can be considered rich, because that's what the rich people think. They think they have class because they got show off cars and they got this and that. Not knowing that the reason you have class is because you have etiquette, class, etiquette, which means anybody can act rich. Rich. Actually, we all act rich. When you open the door for somebody, you're acting etiquette. You act etiquette. When you open the door for a woman, you're practicing etiquette. Etiquette. When you pass the talk across the table to somebody, you're practicing etiquette. We are already practicing etiquette. Etiquette has already been embedded in us. You kind of don't have to read Emily Post. You know, just so you can read it. I mean, if you want to, but like you really don't have to read Emily Post technically understand etiquette. But I really came to basically this gets me to just class and class. But class is basically your position in society, whether you're wealthy, whether you're super duper rich, or maybe you're medium rich, then you're low rich, then you're then you're medium class. I mean, you're middle class, high medium class, middle medium class, low medium class, and it brings whether you're high poor class, middle poor class, or low poor class, right? Right? That is class. That's class in society, and I think when Obama, if you like Obamacare right now, I believe that it made people think. It made them think class. It made them think I finally can get um uh, the Affordable Care Act and tax breaks on my taxes, because he did higher the tax for rich, but he kept the tax break for the poor the same. So I can finally get all these tax breaks on my taxes now, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. Which means now I can go and buy a Bentley and a flat screen TV. No, he was saying class, which technically Obama made it so that the poor class can now move up to middle class. So he made it so that the poor medium can move up the poor wealthy, the poor high poor, and he made the poor high to move up the which means technically he doesn't want you going out buying a Bentley because now you have the money to buy a Bentley. He kind of gave jobs. The job rate, I believe they were talking about, it went up 6%. I believe technically, which is really good. Technically, because y'all think 6%, but telling 6% of 100 million people is a lot. That's about like 50 to 500,000, 50,000. I don't really want to calculate that, but that's a lot of people getting jobs in millions, that makes sense. But like I kind of said, like but not only that, he got his get, not only that, he got his jobs because technically he supported education. He's telling the youth, go and get education, go and get this, go and get that. He's kind of trying to get our youth out there. He's trying to get you out there who's sitting down watching the video, and not understanding that you're never too old to do anything. You can kind of still get to that. So basically, let's go back, going back to this, based on the class technically, right? And voting. If you take this and break it down into sociology, if that makes sense, high really people who don't live in poor neighborhoods, basically rich, medium class, all the way up, they will think they're voting, which means they'll say, "This is my God-given right to vote. I have the right to vote, so I will go and vote." Technically, but they really don't understand voting. And basically, the lower people or the really poor people below that, they think voting, which means technically they're just saying, who should I vote for? Or they're kind of saying yes, I'm watching something. Sorry about that. But basically, check that monitor. Basically, yeah, on voting, right? People voting. Alright, alright. Okay, okay, and basically anybody below that, they think vote, which means they don't understand voting, which means technically nobody understands voting. Nobody understands that basically it's the popular vote. It's popular vote, and that if your state is split between Democratic and Republican, which means if there was a state that's between 50 and 45, that makes sense. The government, the senator will override the state. That makes sense, and choose for himself because it's kind of it's 40, 50, 45 technically in a sense, which is a very close margin. And if he does go for that 50 technically sense, then basically he's ignoring like that 5%, that slightly 5%. So he would just override it technically in a sense and vote for who he thinks is best for his state technically in a sense. And you should kind of so I can kind of explain you know, basically your votes are tallied at a government college. It's not a government college. Yeah, it's just it's a government college. When you tell me it's a government college, that's not it's a college. It's just don't. It's not a college. That's all I'm saying. But if your votes are tallied there, that makes sense. Tallied there. It basically goes through the government. It goes all the way to the executive branch, through the legislative branch of instance, not the judicial. I don't think it's the Supreme Court, but it's out there, and basically the president goes, basically whoever you go for, he go for. Which basically means this. I'm not going to sit here. I think it was really insignificant to sit here and explain Obama and his policies and explain all of these people and policies. So I can say to these people, go online. If you really don't know who you want to vote for, go online. If you don't know, if you don't Democrats progress, Republicans conserve, kind of it, which means the Republicans would, which means a Republican would conserve Obamacare, while a Democrat would progress Obamacare. Thus, you kind of want to be bipartisan, which means you're not a Republican. Technically, since you're a Republican, because you're thinking, okay, okay, I'm gonna progress this, and then I'll conserve this until the right time, to progress it again, right? So that's kind of it. Choose if you're Democrat. They don't know if they're Democrat. They're kind of, well, oh, y'all don't know if y'all Democrat, Republican. Y'all don't know what y'all are. That's why I say. That's why they kind of. That's why Obama. He kind of made y'all think Republican, but I don't want to get into that. But basically, Republicans. I mean, but it makes you think Republican because they thought Republican which means Republican is conserves. That's kind of it. That's kind of it. So basically, right, meaning, meaning that they're basically all and all, not Republican. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about something for a second. Which means that then they're not Republicans technically in a sense, because then they would think conservative. But then why are they why are they why are they arguing with Obama when he's talking when at times he's saying I'm conservative, you know, which so basically it kind of leaves this if you really don't understand who you want to vote for, whether it's conservative, whether it's a progressive, look online, look at what they're dealing with. If they're trying to get rid of Obamacare, I think you really don't want to go vote for them because that means they can conserve you. But not only that, technically, if we would get rid of if we would that it would be a catastrophe if we got rid of Obamacare right now, or the Affordable Care Act technically in instance. So basically, look online, look to see who you are. Think of parts of society that need boosting. I'll give you a hint. Maybe you should think of banking right now. You should be thinking banking right now. You should be thinking reform the jail, reform the penitentiary system. You should be thinking of what else? Telling me since maybe reforming abortion, and you should maybe reforming abortion, abortion, even not, not too much for FEMA. I mean, there's other things you can, just think. But overall, overall, I'm just giving you things. But overall, look into society. Look what society has to offer, whether it be welfare, welfare, whether it be anything. Don't only know welfare, don't only know one thing. Look at, because the president, he boosts all sectors of society. So look at all sectors of society, for instance, and see which part of society you feel, which part of society you feel that needs to be boosting. But and think logically about it too, for instance, because Obama kind of, as you kind of think about it, Obama reset the federal banks, which means he set the loan interest rate like 5%. I believe 7 million since which, and that thus by doing so, he kind of kept. What I'm saying, he kind of kept the money in the federal government. When I think what he should have done is he should have basically took those loans and thrown it to the different and thrown it to banks, which means he should have took those loans and thrown it to, which means he should have made it so that the banks could be able to buy the federal loans. Does that make sense? And hold them there because they know that they're gonna get the money, right? Right. But not only do that, but basically just keep the other banks, it just make the banks keep buying the federal loans, which means technically just keep throwing those federal loans around. Suddenly, in a sense, any type of loan, basically more, just keep throwing it around to different banks because they don't support banking. And then basically, and once basically that bank, once that loan has been set, once it's been settled, and once they finally start paying off, that bank will get a piece of the pot, which will make boost up banking. Thus, technically, we should kind of make. I think he should also make a debt collection system. We do have one, but it's not it's banking technically in a sense, which means that they're kind of, the banks are kind of debt collecting, but I mean it's banking. It's not really debt collecting, which means technically we'll make a whole new industry where basically the companies take those loans. Basically, the companies take those loans and they throw it to the debt collectors, right? Right, and the debt collector and the basic debt collector start to collecting the debt. And basically, this is what happens: the debt collector, on those loans, the debt collector gets about 10% of the pot, right? And basically, the banks get 35 for 25%, and then basically the rest goes to the federal government, which would be a trigram, which would be perfect because we have another industry, and basically it will influence banking, and it will kind of make people understand debt collection because a lot of people really don't understand debt collection. So that later, but yeah, basically voting. Look at the policies, look at the different things. You're kind of smart. You kind of do know. No, it's just that you're screwing logic in a sense. Suddenly, in a sense, but like basically remember, think logical, read articles. Give your opinion on things. Things. Don't be draw. Basically, you give your opinions on things. Technically, in a sense, that makes sense. You mean read it, read it. Read closely. You're kind of saying you're right. You're right. You know. So that's kind of what I have to say about voting. Voting, get out there and vote. Vote right now. You should really be voting Democratic, because a lot of these Republicans are kind of crazy. But there may actually be Republicans who are for health for the Health Care Act, for instance, because they only show a few Republicans or certain Republicans. But there might be Republicans for the Health Care Act. You really don't know. But like I said, you kind of should be Democratic so that they can conserve Obamacare. Because the Democrats will conserve Obamacare. Some of them talking about progressing it. They should not be progressing it. It has to kind of sizzle. It has to kind of sizzle a little bit before you start progressing it more. Telling until it basically becomes like just basically free healthcare. But they kind of have to let it sizzle a little bit. So like I said, the things you should be looking at, like maybe the banking system. Look at the banking system. I already explained that. Look at the banking system. I have many other things to look at, other things to look at too. Look at immigration reforms. Technically, in a sense, he has to look at immigration reforms. Immigration reforms. It's kind of funny because the immigrants basically, in my mind, in my mind, if I think the immigrants don't. I think the immigrants don't know that the government. I think the immigrants are at. I think immigrants they don't know that the government knows that they're a legal immigrant, that you're an illegal immigrant. Because that was the when Obama said there are 11 million immigrants in this country, then there should be millions of immigrants getting their citizenship right now, because then you don't think Obama knows that you are not a legal immigrant, although he's saying there's 11,000 illegal immigrants, you know. So so basically, that's kind of what I would say about voting, and just get out and vote. You don't be lazy, don't be lazy, don't be. I'm like, I just vote, especially black people. But basically, if you think about it, they took away our right to vote, which means technically what they said you're not human, is what the parents are trying to tell you is they're saying you're not human if you don't vote. When they couldn't vote, they were saying you're not human, because they're saying you're not human, because they're saying you don't have the mental capacity or brain or power to understand voting. Thus, you're not human. That's what people are saying. That's why they say vote. That's why black people say, or black people, even Latinos, they say vote. Technically, in a sense, you should not do that in America. They say vote technically in a sense, right? Because then basically that's saying that I'm human. That's saying that I have the mental capacity to choose who I want as a leader, or who I want as this, who I want as that, and that's kind of it. George Bush, he won the popular vote during that election. They kind of told you to win the popular vote. Just leave it alone. Just do it alone. That's Iraqing. But okay, but y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed the soapbox, and I have much more to say too. But until next time, Kenzie Young off. See you later.